On to our sort of smaller than planned rants and raves, because we've talked so much in these previous segments. We're going to start with Dan Kennedy, who's going to be super fast.
I'm going to talk fast. I have a rant for Sinclair, the broadcasting giant that controls 173 TV stations and may soon control a lot more. What they're doing is they're taking these local TV newscasts and turning them into an outlet for right-wing propaganda. What they have done most recently is that they are requiring their local anchors to read a statement from headquarters denouncing the mainstream media for broadcasting fake news. One of the anchors, I love this, he said, "I felt like a POW recording a message." I don't believe in the Boston market we're able to see any of these hostage videos, but they are out there and being made, and it's only going to get worse.
Next up, we have Josh.
Well, if you read enough content online, you've certainly seen the genre of story that often comes up, where something happens and a news organization will write a little bit about it and then go get tweets from the internet and embed them in a stream, and that's sort of fitting in for what used to be the man on the street interview, right? Getting the vox pop. That is a genre that a lot of places have, put a lot of time into. There was an interesting report that came out today from the University of Wisconsin that looked at stories on mainstream news sites and as well as politically partisan news sites, looking at the tweets that were embedded and finding over 100 instances where the tweets that were embedded by journalists into these stories were actually Russian-backed accounts.
Wow.
Who were being held up as, what the American people are talking about on Twitter, when it was in fact what someone in St. Petersburg in a darkened basement was thinking about. On one hand, it's hard to say that the standard should be you need to evaluate the identity of every person who tweets on the internet. That's maybe a bit much. And what journalists are trying to do there is get a representative sweep of the comments being made. But when we're thinking about, as journalists, how we want to present, what's happening online, which is a very important thing, I think we should probably, be a little bit more responsible about, making sure that the people that we are highlighting the opinions of, are not Ruskies.
Next up, we have, I'm going to make an executive decision, Callie.
Okay. Well, speaking of Ruskies, Stephen Brill, some people may remember that he has over time tried to come up with ways to really elevate journalism or really evaluate it in a way that makes sense. So we understand that most adults now get their news source from social media. We know the struggles of Facebook and Google to try to evaluate what is true, what isn't, what came from Russia, what didn't. He's starting a new program called NewsGuard Technologies, where he is going to gather up a group of journalists, well-known journalists, to assess each of these sites. They're going to go through 7,500 of them and give them a this is one's okay, trust level, this one, this one out, whatever. They'll keep reevaluating.
Green, yellow, and red, right?
Yes, green, yellow, and red. It is being, part of the sourcing is coming from Publicis, which is a big international public relations company. And they have $6 million now to try to combat what we are now referring to as fake news. This is very important because everywhere I go to talk about this, people do not know how to begin assessing what is a credible source. So if this offers some help, good.
Jennifer.
I have a rave for a new website that's called abridgenews.com, and it is the brainchild of a woman named Laura Carpenter, who is a student at the Harvard Business School. And what this website does is it curates opinion pieces on hot topics of the day. It could be political or cultural, and it gives you a sampling across political views of what people are thinking. So you can swipe left for liberal views, swipe right for conservative views, and then get some views in the middle. And what's really great about it is the audience has an opportunity to weigh in, not just on the substance of the topic, but on whether they thought the rhetorical arguments were effective. And I think it's a really great place for people to go who are researching an issue so that they get out of their echo chambers and hear both sides of the story.
Is it up now? Can you
it
use
is
it
up
now?
and running at bridgenews.com.
Okay.
It is not in app form yet, but you can. The interface on the phone is very much like an app.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give mine really, really quickly. I want to rave today for the Players Tribune, the site that Derek Jeter launched back in 2014. At the time it launched, I might have even talked about it here, I didn't really understand what the point was. It was going to let professional athletes or eminent athletes speak directly to their fans. I didn't see a need for this. I've read a couple pieces in the Players Tribune in the last week that absolutely floored me. One was the one that we're seeing a picture of right here. Steve Francis, formerly an amazing basketball player, talking about his rise and personal decline. Absolutely riveting. And another about Kevin Love, the NBA player, talking about suffering an anxiety attack on court and trying to cope with the aftermath. Really interesting stuff, and I was wrong about the site. So I don't know. You, I know, are a basketball fan. Do you remember Steve Francis?
I absolutely do.
Have you read this yet?
I haven't read that. I've read the Kevin Love piece, and it is. I was skeptical in part because this is the sort of site that looks like a PR vehicle.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
Right.
they have been able to publish some really powerful pieces that can have an impact.
It's interesting, though, because it's a lot of what Donald Trump did during the election, which is taking out the mediator and going right to the people.
It is. It is.
And we saw that was effective.
Yeah. It's effective here, too.
For better or
So-
worse.